Okay, today we're going to continue with the front wheel slash tire on my BMW R1300GS Adventure. I did the rear tire 2 days ago, but to my surprise, and I should have checked this obviously, BMW have changed a little bit in how they attach the front wheel. In the past, the axle still required a kind of a special tool on the right side. You put it in there, you put a nut on it so you can hold the axle while you're loosening it up on this side. But it used to be a 17mm socket. Well, they changed that to a hex, and it's a 12mm. I only had a 10mm, so I had to source a 12mm socket or hex for it. I'm glad I found that in my garage, because if I would have been out on the trail, I did not have that tool in my trail toolkit with me, and subsequently I might not have been able to get the front wheel off the bike if I needed to put a tube in it. So, and of course BMW does not include any of that in their toolkit that comes with the bike. Not sure what the plans is if you're out on the trail and need a wheel off. I guess call roadside assistance and have someone to pick it up, but as everybody knows, that's not an option when you're on a trail. That might be an option when you're on a highway somewhere and can call it. Anyway, so to get the front wheel off, start with the wheel speed sensor. They recommend taking that out of the current position down here, so it doesn't get damaged when you take the wheel off. The brake calipers, 2 bolts, loosen them up. Make sure you twist them a little bit so you push the brake pad back in a little bit, makes it easy to get it back on again. And I normally just wiggle them a little bit. This is already loosened up, so wiggle them a little bit, get the pads back in. Then I take a couple of, let me see here, cable straps. Put it in here. I didn't have a long enough one, so I'm going to extend one here. That should do it. After that, we need to loosen up the bolts on the front of the fork legs. No reason to take them out completely. Just loosen them up, it's okay. They're just clamping down the front axle. And again, these are Torx as well. Just loosen them up. Make sure it's loose, everything is rolling free. Raise the front off the ground. It's just to loosen up the axle. So for that, we'll make sure we use the specialty tool, which is really just 2 nuts, different sizes. Does not come with the bike. There's plenty of places you can buy it aftermarket. Touratech is probably the provider of this one. Then loosen up the axle. All right, easy enough. Get the specialty tool out. The axle cap is now loose on the right side. And before we do something else, let's get the front wheel up in there. Just going to make it easy for myself. Use the floor jack. Just put it under the black dog skid plate. Not rocket science. Just making sure it now goes down. It's holding up the bike enough so the rear tire is hitting the ground. And of course, there are better ways to do this. You can have the front shock that lifts up and hold this in position. But to me, this is good enough. What's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen is the bike fall on me. That'd be bad. But as soon as it doesn't do that, it might come down and I have to lift it up again. So with that, let's see if we can get the front axle out of here. All right, so it took a little coaxing to get this out of here. There you go. Got the axle out, lowering the tire, and taking the it's an insert on the right hand side, making sure we take that out. Make sure we remember to put that back in again. Okay, the tire is out. Okay, so next step, you need to get the tire off. So this is my second time I actually used it. The first time was using the rear tire. Didn't do it perfect. Now it's the second time I'm going to do the front tire. So let's start with getting the tire on here. All right. Need to adjust the magnetic blocks out here a little bit. Top and bottom, yeah. All right, supported up and down. Next, let's get the valve stem out of here. Didn't lose it either. Next, see if we can set the correct size for this. Let's see. Let's move this one in here a little bit. All right, that was my mistake. It's a more narrow tire, it's a front tire. It came right off. So, all right, live and learn. Front tire need to move in. Get a different leverage. That was easy. No reason to struggle the way I did. Get the duck head on. All right, it's in there, it's perfect. Creating a little distance. I don't like it exactly there. I like it more there, 90 degrees. All right. Okay, now next step, not to forget, we have to secure the tire so it doesn't spin. So we do that. About the 5 o'clock or so spoke here. There we go. All right. Before we did that, we should have spun the tire around. To get the duck head to the bottom and the valve about the 90-degree spot here. I mean the 3 o'clock spot. All right. Next step, tire iron. Making sure, I like to use these clamps. Just making sure I have the top of the tire for the other side of the tire in the center of the rim. So let's add a couple of these clamps. There we go, that helps. And now, time to fish out the rim, oops, the rim of the tire. There we go. There we go, it's outside the duck head. Just do a last lubrication here. Can't help, I mean can't be bad. All right, and now let's get the tire off here. Got it up too high. All right. No problem with the rim. Perfect, love it. Okay. And now, get the duck head down here again. Grab one to the other side of the tire. All right. There we go. One tire off. Rim perfectly fine. Good. All right. I can use this for another time. Now let's set up to mount the tire on here. Get my TKC80. Few things to think about here. Tire grease and making sure the tire spins in the correct direction. And the red dot, it's the lightest part of the tire. It needs to go where the valve and the tire pressure sensor is. These tires, that's for the ABS, so this goes on the left, so it rotates that way. It's even an arrow there. Oh, great. All right, so let's find the arrows on this one. Come on. Of course, it's on the other side. All right. So that rotates. The rim is going. That's on that side. Rim is going that way. Tire have to go same way, like that. All right. Perfect. And the red dot is about there. All right, that's good. Let's start with the inside. Let's get our bead grease on it. Make sure you get the whole inside here with bead grease. Both sides. Then double check rotation again. All right, that's good. Some grease over here on the duck head. And then okay, time to put some of these in here. Probably one at, I don't know, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, one around 10 o'clock. There we go. Center of the rim, this should be off. That was harder than I thought. And front tire. All right. Rim feels and look fine. But that was harder than I thought. Probably have to use the bead brake to get the duck head off here. All right, time to put the wheel back. First, let's put some grease on the race on this bearing here. go. And then some proper grease on the axle itself. Looks good. Whoop. Put the counter nut in on the other side. I'm not going to torque this yet. Just putting this back in here. There you go. I'm not torquing it yet. Same thing here. Putting the bolt back in. I didn't have to take those out, but it was a little tighter than I liked, so to not take any risk, I removed all the possible areas of friction. Just going to finger tight these on here. We are getting a torque wrench after we get things aligned properly here. Too much grease. All right, everything is back in here. What we're going to do now, we're going to lower the bike. So we want to make sure we align everything properly. As you can see, the wheel is obviously spinning. But before I put the brakes, back calipers back on it, and the tire, the ABS sensor, and torque everything down to the proper torque specs, I'm going to lower it and just push down the telelever, or fork if you will, although it's not really a fork, just to compress it and align things in the right position. So with that, just lower it slowly. Trick here is to not touch the front brake. If you do that, you have a lot of extra work for yourself. Putting it in gear, see if I can rock it back and forth. Not much I can do to get this down. A couple of 100 pounds too light. Okay. Back up on the center stand. Easy to do, even with flip-flops on. There you go. And now I'm gonna, not that I have to, but I am gonna elevate the front again. It makes it easier to work on. There we go. All right, time to get the torque wrench. Stop recording. All right, so the first one to torque is the front axle. You need a specialty double nut. Put it in here. We need something to hold that with. And the torque wrench. This is supposed to be torqued to 50 Newton meters. There we go. 50 Newton meters. Next is we have to torque the smaller bolts here. They want it in very small increments, and they need to be torqued to, I believe, 12 Newton meters. Better check. Yeah, 12 Newton meters. I'm going to start just hand tightening them close to it. Right, so what we do is, one by one, do 6 times. Left, right, left, right. Hold it tight. Then right, right, you got to do small press this. Right, it's going to be problem right, I don't tight, we have extension of that on. Let's do it again. We'll get 12 units. In the same way. Basically I have. Perfect. Alright, that's 12. Still double check and see. Well. Well, on that side, it's the same thing here. So we line up towards 12 units. And 10 right now. And 10, right, it's 1 to 12. 12. 12. I'm happy with that. So with that, next are the brake calipers to get those back on, and torque the brake calipers, and then put the sensor back for the ABS, and then it's time for a test ride. So there we go. Last thing, we need to put back the sensor for the ABS. It's going to clean this area out a little bit, and then put blue Loctite on that screw and torque it to 6 Newton meters. I'll double check that. So my first time using the Rabaconda, I would have been much faster just using two 10-inch tire irons and used the center stand as the bead breaker. I would have finished both tires much faster with that. In my past with off-road tires, I also just used to balance the rim by itself, and I never cared about balance the tire and never had an issue with it. This bike is brand new. I like to keep the rims in good condition and wait until I dent them on a rock somewhere. I do like the Rabaconda, especially the rear tire. Makes it much easier to do it without damaging the rim. Front was harder than I thought, but I think that was me, not the Rabaconda. I'm sure if I get some more tires done on it, it's going to be smoother to do it. As you can see, there's some settings with the Rabaconda you have to change to between rear and front tire. When I changed a bead breaker attachment location, it became right off the rim. So live and learn. I'm going to continue using it. Certainly great when I'm in my garage at home. I'm saving the tire irons if I have to use them on the trail. I hope I don't have to use them on the trail, but thanks for watching. And with this, Waiting for the snow to thaw so I can go out and test drive to make sure everything came together good and that the tires are properly balanced. So thanks for watching.